Well, first of all, let's start with kind of the small business kind of ecosystem in LA County. 25,000 small businesses, 20 years old or older, with over 750,000 employees and billions of dollars infused into our local economy. And so for local government to support, in some instances, this kind of fragile industry, I think, is really important. So I'm proud that a motion that I brought forward, now being operationalized by our Department of Economic Opportunity in partnership with Project Equity, is really making employee ownership a reality here in LA County. We've used American Rescue Plan Act dollars to put our money where our mouth and our commitment is, to really make sure that we're able to provide technical assistance, legal assistance, and actually fund incubation and help workers with some seed money to actually buy the business. We don't want that to be a deterrent in and of itself. From my perspective, this really is a meaningful way to create a paradigm shift in this concept of how you build generational wealth. We're talking about a new population, a population of perhaps multi-generational workers, like myself and my own family, who are able to transition into ownership. And it's also a way to meaningfully support small business owners to have a variety of options of how they transition out of ownership, and to understand that there are a variety of tools in that toolkit, one of which, and the county, partly with Project Equity, wants to make that available to them, is to transition ownership to their very own workforce. That's my vision of success, where small businesses are honored, the workforce is honored, and the community benefits from having that community asset continue on. This is the way we could operationalize equity and expanding access to the kinds of support small businesses need to survive and thrive. And so for these businesses to know that they can be whole, maintain their own multi-generational wealth, but by helping to expand their own legacy, by their own workforce being able to step up to the plate and continue the tradition of that small business in that community. I am clear about the role small business plays in keeping LA County's economy healthy. And I just think it's a great opportunity. When I look at small businesses in my own community, I had one example of an amazing cultural icon in the heart of my district, a 30-year small business that ended up just closing, just shut their doors, took their product and went away. And I think it's because they didn't have or didn't understand the viable options available to them. when you consider the number of our constituents and whose livelihoods are based on their employment at a small business, it behooves us as a level of government to figure out how we can engage. Well, I would encourage all of my elected colleagues in local government to look at the data in your own county. And so to honor small businesses who have toiled, who have struggled to stay afloat, to honor their own work equity by giving them an option to sell and not shortchange their investment, to sell their business, but to a workforce so they feel good about it. I remember, to draw a parallel, selling my first house. It was my first house, so it meant so much to me. And I was looking for someone like me to buy it, an unmarried female, as your loan docs will say, that I was going to give her a break, just like I was given one, to be able to buy her first home. And when government can kind of co-sign or sanction a new novel concept, that's helpful. The notion of employee ownership may be really new to the small business community. And so if it's something that they can look and say, well, there's a county department, our Department of Economic Opportunity, who's partnering with something called Project Equity. And they are providing me technical assistance, legal assistance, so I can kind of fact check to figure out, is this real, is it not? For your county government to actually leverage resources, to create a pool of money to make it available to help with the transition perhaps with a portion of the funds needed for the purchase to incubate the concept. Those are a return on investment that government can afford to put up, if you will. And when you think about the benefit to your local economy, to job creation and expansion, when you consider who small business hires, it's not been a hard sell to small business to talk about, would you mind training and hiring someone who's formerly systems involved? Because they are people in your very own community. So it behooves us to really make sure that this sector is supported in a proactive way, particularly coming out of the public health economic pandemic that we all just barely survived. Well, when I think about the district I represent in South LA, and the number of small businesses that haven't always had the same level of access to capital, the same level of access to bank loans, to help them grow and expand their business. I think this is a unique tool, particularly for that small business person, where we are valuing your work ethic, your commitment, your small business, and saying to you, we want to support you once you decide that it's time to transition out and bring a new product to the table, a new product, if you will, to the market to support your workforce that's probably comprised of people who live in the community that your small business is based in. And so for me, that's in some instances what we call unfinished communities that haven't had the same level of private or public investment to build their infrastructure. And so this is a product for you. And to convince small businesses who have, some of whom, led by people of color or women, have been sometimes willfully left out of the traditional products that support business, I think will be new news and good news. From my perspective, employee ownership is operationalizing equity.